Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Total War Warhammer 3 Legendary Lord lore video. And today we are covering Zhatan the Black. Under the dark tower of Zhatan, the capital city of the Dawizar, 1,000,000 evil souls labor to the glory of their god Hashat, the father of darkness. From 1,000 burning forges come weapons burnished of iron and corselets of ruddy bronze. It is the greatest city in the world, and it is ruled by the most black-hearted lords of all, the Chaos Dwarf sorcerers. Amongst them, perhaps the most potent living Dawizar sorcerer, Goroth the Cruel, who is the master of one of the most renowned generals who has ever walked the Darklands, Zhatan the Black. Acts of the most cruel and heartless nature are everyday occurrences in the lands of the Zarduk. Thousands of slaves endure unimaginable agonies in the pits of Zar, mining out their poisonous wealth amidst choking fumes and impenetrable darkness. In the workshops of Zhatan, untold slaves are worked to death in their chains. The hobgoblin overseers beating their pitiful charges so that their flesh hangs from their backs like bloodied rags. Others are thrown into the flames, sacrifices to the might of Hashat, their dying screams echoing around the city. Occasionally, though, these sounds of horror succumb to the gloating laughter of Zhatan as he revels in watching the sacrifices burn. For even amongst this wanton cruelty, his deeds of brutality are remarkable. Zhatan the Black, commander of the Tower of Zar, who relishes in the suffering of the innumerable slaves he has brought to toil and sacrifice beneath Zhatan for the glory of his master and his god. Said to be the most pitiless warrior to tread the blackened earth of Zar, he is kept busy by his master's insatiable demand for fresh slaves, whether for the mines or the sacrificial pyres. The workshops of Gorth can scarce keep pace with Zhatan's demand for weaponry. Each expedition he undertakes brings further slaves whose labor fuels fresh conquests. As a result, Zhatan has led many successful slaving expeditions to the west, crushing every army that has dared stand up to him. All the goblin tribes between the plains of Zarduk and Mount Grimfang have bowed before his armies, sending thousands of their kind in tribute to the lords of Zhatan, to inevitably die a miserable death at the hands of the Dawizar. That is who Zhatan is. Sadistic, remorseless, pitiless. In terms of his rules on the tabletop, Zhatan wore some heavy armor and, oddly, a little quirk that used to exist in the 4th edition Chaos Dwarf book, which is where most of the original Chaos Dwarf information is taken from. He actually carried around the Warhammer, despite the fact the model they sold for him had an axe and the illustration they got made for him had an axe. He was described as having a Warhammer. Maybe that was a typo, but it was always an oddity there. I was wondering whether Creative Assembly might make him with a Warhammer, but they gave him an axe as well, going along with most of his depictions. In terms of his mounts, he has access to the Taurus, which of course are creatures that make their homes in the volcanic heights of the mountains in the Darklands. Some even hypothesize that the Taurus are in fact the most mutated kin of the Dawizar from the time they were changed due to exposure to the winds of chaos. The Lamassu is another mount option, thought to be a rarer mutated offshoot of the Taurus, and is thought to be much more intelligent, able to breathe in the winds of magic themselves in order to add an aura of magical protection around themselves. I go into a bit more detail about the Taurus and the Lamassu in my Chaos Dwarf Army video, which I made quite a while ago. But if you'd like some detail on the lore of the Lamassu, the Taurus, or any other units in the Chaos Dwarf Army, do check that video out. It'll be popping up in the top right hand corner now, or you'll see a link down in the description below. He did also have a rule that allowed him to carry up to 3 magic items. This was an unusual amount. Zhatan's cruelty knows no bounds was another special rule. This was the idea that he's so full of hatred that basically he got hate against any enemy he would play against. Now, there's lots of units and characters that have hate on the tabletop, but in his case, it's against all enemies, which was quite a rarity at the time. And that's it for Zhatan the Black, probably the most feared non-magical general of the Chaos Dwarves. Ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy the video, do consider subscribing or joining up as a member. Do click the button in the middle, and that will take you to a video describing all the benefits of joining up to the Adept Army. Do consider it, or you can get all the news in the channel update that went out around the same time as this video. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching, and I hope to catch you all on the next one. Alright guys, bye.